Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to an exciting webinar, which we call Identify, Automate, Manage RPA Journey for Business Performance Enhancement. I'm sure that you are looking at the post or the image with our esteemed panelists who are with us today to discuss this topic and share some wisdom and knowledge about this in much more detail. We are looking for a next 1 hour, where we will share with you some of the world's best practices, industry norms, and also helping you to transform your business using automation as a very important tool and strategy. Without any further ado, I would like to welcome all of you who have joined this webinar. Thank you for taking the time, and our intention is to ensure that this time spent has a very meaningful outcome for you. I am Rohan Jaivir. I am the moderator for this session. And to start the session, I would like to invite Dilini T. Alvis, Chief Operating Officer of Software Solutions and Services of Keells IT, to share the opening remarks about what her thought process would be about automation and a robotic process automation in the world. Dilini, thank you for joining us. It's absolutely a privilege to have you. I would just like to now invite you to kind of start sharing your deck and take the conversation forward.
Thank you, Rohan.
No sooner you share your slide deck, I will be able to share it on the screen so that our audience can actually see that.
Just let me know when you can see the screen.
Yep, I think it's coming up. Dilini, your slides are live. You are now. It's your time.
Okay, thank you, Rohan. So, welcome to the webinar on Identify, Automate, and Manage RPA Journey for Business Performance Enhancement. And what I would like to do is give you an introduction to Keells IT. What is RPA and where it can be used? Our RPA expertise, our success stories, unleashing your potential, and realizing your automation journey. So to start with, let me give you a brief introduction of who Keells IT is. So Keells IT has a rich history of more than 20 plus years, being in MEA region with strong local presence and with local offices based in MEA. And we have worked on enterprise projects with large organizations. We have helped to realize process automation journey and to gain higher ROIs. So also we on different engagements, we have worked with flagship enterprises such as what you see the logos below. And also we are a subsidiary of Keells Holdings, the biggest diversified conglomerate in Sri Lanka with a history of 150 years and a market cap of 1.5 billion USD. And we are in 7 industry verticals: banking, retail, insurance, real estate, transportation and logistics, hospitality, information technology. We have 15,000 plus employees, and we are the most respected corporate employer of the year in a year for 12 years in a row. So to give you an understanding of our RPA experience in verticals, we started our journey in 2017 with the BPO industry. And thereafter, we progressed into different verticals. And today we are in airlines, in customs, in insurance, travel, telecom, banking, BPO, manufacturing, and retail. And we have automated large amounts of processes across the years. So in order to give you a snapshot of our strategic partners, we are Microsoft, SAP, and UiPath strategic partners, and we regionally represent these leading principals. And also we have worked with ABBY, which is also part of UiPath now, and we have offered services along those lines. So we are a competent licensing and service partner in Southeast Asia and the Middle East for UiPath, and we provide RPA services on-site and off-site, and our footprint continues to grow, and we provide services to large clienteles. So let me just give you a brief on what is RPA, what is robotic process automation, so that I'm trying to set the stage for the conversations that we are going to have in the panel discussion. So it is when we emulate and integrate the actions of a human interacting with digital systems. It is like where you sit in front of a laptop, you use a system, and you do certain repetitive tasks, right? So those are things that a robot can automate. So just to give you a brief, it can extract data, it can manipulate applications, it can also do calculations, it can communicate with other systems likewise. So the benefits of going into robotic process automation is you can increase revenue and lower your cost. You can improve customer satisfaction. And since robots operate 24/7, and there are no defects that is created by them, so because of that, it gives a higher compliance. So therefore, it helps human beings to get more engaged with the clients. Robotic process automation can also work on diverse automation environments, like it may be ERPs, it can be Microsoft Office application, it can be desktops or web apps or cognitive services of Microsoft Azure, it can be Java or .NET. It works in various environments, integrates, pushes data to, or extracts data from. So that is what the capability of robots. So in order to give you a brief on our RPA expertise, so we have certified experienced solution team, and also we have experience in consultation, process assessment, implementation, maintenance, and project management. So these are some of the highlights. We have worked with our clients. We have done account creation, we have done client creation, data migration, payroll processes, purchase order creations, bank reconciliation, invoice processing. Debt moratorium was one of the COVID use cases where we had to do for a BFSI customer in order for him to give the benefit to his clients. Let me take you through another COVID related use case. This is where we had to cancel the unutilized tickets and do a refund. So in order to do that, I mean, as you all very well know, that during the COVID-19 pandemic, there were so many cancellations that cancellation of flights and tickets that needs to be accommodated. And there were, due to the various government regulations where the travel was banned. And so therefore, what we had to do is we had to log into MEA, we had to extract customer information from the system, then we had to validate the unused tickets, then we had to calculate the refund amount and issue vouchers for them, and then send an email with those vouchers to the clients. So this is with the robots, you can perform 24/7. Nearly 800,000 cancellations were done per day, and there were significant savings on work hours, because generally for a human being who knows the process, it generally takes 3 to 5 minutes to complete the process, but in terms of the robot, it just took 1 minute to complete the transactions. This is another process that I would want to take you through, which is the credit flow. And this is where we have utilized ABI, which is an intelligent document platform. And what we have done is with ABI, we have used to extract data from scanned documents, and we updated the database. And sorry. And then what we do is we get the bots to fetch the data from the core system, and then it will also access the regulatory system to understand the creditworthiness of the client. And based on that information, it will generate the security codes and also provide authorization. Now, there are different authorization levels. So what the bot will do is it will trigger the authorization request to the relevant people. And from the authorization received, and it will process the loan, and it will send an email alert to the client saying that his loan is approved. So the business benefits that we receive, now this used to be an 8/5 operation, but now with the bots, they work at that 24/7. So basically, they access the regulatory system very often and to process the transactions. 1,600 working hours were saved from each branch, and we handled 800 plus files per day, and we completed the process within 3 minutes. So to give another use case, which is called the credit card process, where we are able to log into the co-banking system, then enter the credit card process, and then retrieve the information, and then also enter the required information to verify the card details. And then after that, we generate the reference number, and then we'll generate an email with the reference number to the client. So again, this is now handled 24/7. It has eliminated all data entry errors, handles 50 plus files per day, and saves about 500 minutes per day. Also, one other thing that we have also done in this process is when the regulatory system is down, we send email alerts to the responsible supervisors so that they know, due to the regulatory system is not being available, that the transaction has not got processed. So likewise, even a leasing process is another use case where we log into the banking system, we retrieve the request, and then we look at whether it is a joint account or whether and look for the guarantor details, and also we calculate the payments and the payment schedule. Then we update the application file, then we update the reference numbers, and then we generate mail. So this also has 1,200 working hours saved, handled about 350 files per day. So to take you through another process, which is the insurance process, so where we extract the insurance request from the data warehouse, we log into the co-banking system, then we get into the recovery account and then extract data from it, and then we will check whether it is a bank agent or whether it's an external agent account, and then we will also upload the insurance files, generate reference numbers, and then we will send the emails out. So this 950 files per day were handled. These are actually renewals, and 400 working hours were saved. So now let me also show you some generic use cases. When it comes to these are use cases which are common to any company, any industry. And then looking at co-insurance, like the ones that are highlighted in blue are the highly automatable use cases which has a higher ROI. And then when it goes into the gray, those are the ones which have a medium, and orange is very low ROI. So in order for me to just give you an example, let me take you through the billing function in this particular co-insurance. Now, in order, the fact that the payment collection, payment processing, renewals, and cancellations, those are all processes that can be easily automated. So likewise, all the ones that are in blue are candidates for high automation. Then let me take you to finance and accounting, where there is order to cash. And then when you look at this, just setting up customers in the system, managing customer data, performing credit checks, just like that what I mentioned, how you can validate the customer's credit worthiness. Then in also like in going into processing orders under process order and fulfillment, then going into invoice, where you can generate invoice, manage billing, and so on and so forth. Then another area that is quite automatable is procure to pay under supply chain. So you can say that even things like create and submit requisitions, measure vendor performance, then going into payment process, likewise can be automated. So going into going into legal department, this is where you can also automate the contract creation, contract filing, then things like KYC, know your customer, compliance intake, and so on. Going into the area of human resource, right there also when it comes to recruitment and onboarding employees, you can source the candidates, manage employment verifications, onboard new hires. Then you can also go into performance management, where you can manage the employees' performance, manage compliance, manage time and attendance, and likewise. So how have we helped our clients to embark on this journey? So our RP approach is a 8-step approach where we take on, the first step is the process identification. So here is where we will look at design thinking workshops, where we'll understand the pain points of the customer. Then from there onwards, we will look at the processes that can be automated. We will assess them, which ones have a high ROI, which ones are lower ROI, and which needs to be, and also get client input on what they would like to automate first. Then we also go into process redesigning, then also developing user stories, and then going into development. Once the development is done, we push into the UAT environment where the client is able to verify what was done, whether it's working as per what it used to work. Then we get into a hypercare mode, which is where we will monitor the usage of the automation environment, see where optimizations can be done. Then we do not stop our journey from there. We also help our clients in support. So there is 0 level support, level 1, level 2, and also we get UiPath involved if there are any issues in the platform. So that is the value that we bring to the table to our clients. Then this is the center of excellence. So this is the model where the center of excellence operates on, and these are for clients who has multiple business units within an organization. So the benefit for them is that all the automation requests get channeled through the COE, and then the pipeline is maintained there and validated. And also if there are any processes which are common, then you will not be automating it twice or thrice over. You will only automate once and share the benefit with the rest. So this is how we will manage the operation. So also just to give a brief on the where we can host, we host it on premise. We also recommend hosting on Microsoft Azure. That you can see it is better run with Microsoft Azure because we can leverage on where you can scale on the bots, number of bots, because of the elastic nature on the Azure cloud infrastructure, and also the ability of integrating with Azure AD, which gives higher security, and also being able to derive the benefits of cognitive services like AI, ML, and all that. So on closing remarks, I would like to say automation is the next disruption of work, and this is a quote that has been published by McKinsey, which says, coming over the horizon is a new wave of opportunity related to the use of robotics, machine learning, and AI. Companies that deploy automation technologies can realize substantial performance gains and take the lead in their industries, even as their efforts contribute to economic level increases and in productivity. Thank you.
Thank you, Delini. Really, really appreciate it. I know there was quite a lot of rich content in there, and I'm glad that we were able to get through that. So I think next up, I would like to invite Ahmed. Ahmed, over to you, and you can share your slide deck, and then we can actually start the presentation, the thought process for you. Let me just share your slide deck and put you on live. You are ready to go. Over to you, mate. I think you're on mute. Maybe just unmute yourself and you could start. All right, go ahead, Ahmed.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to spend some time with you talking about how RPA and automation is actually redefining the way we work. And these are very unprecedented times, and something, which makes us think about, what's our roadmap to automation. My name is Ahmed Waheed. I am based in Dubai, and I cover Microsoft for Middle East and Africa, and I look after the global strategic partners. When I think about, let's say, automation, adopting an automation first mindset is really the first step in implementing your digital transformation journey, which enables companies to move faster, serve customers better, and dramatically improve the process compliance. And when I think about UiPath and Microsoft, it's all about simplifying that human-robot interaction, opening the platform for direct end-user engagement, and as part of that, end-to-end business process that you want to create. So that's where it becomes very, very interesting. Now, when we talk about AI, so what is AI? Because we hear a lot about it, and there are different kind of definitions that go around. I think AI is about reasoning, right? Which is taking a lot of data, adding logic on top of that, so you can understand and make decisions based on that data. And it continues to learn over time as we keep feeding it more data. So that's one part. The other part is understanding, right? Which is AI enables us to understand and interpret the data of our environment and our world, identifying meaning of text, speech, and images, for instance, are some common use cases that we are seeing. And then it's about interaction, which is extending the human ingenuity and lowering, barriers between humans and machines, and allows machines to communicate with humans in a much more natural way. Now, having talked about like what is AI, why now? So AI research and understanding has been here for many decades, and we as humans have been pursuing this for a while. But why is the interest in and the possibilities of AI accelerating today? First of all, we've made significant AI advancements, especially in deep learning, the power of neural networks that are powering these, deep learning systems, that's really changing the rules for AI. Second is the compute power available today is unprecedented versus what was available before the emergence of cloud. All the AI advancements and algorithms require a lot of compute power, and thanks to the cloud, we now have the capability to dramatically improve, AI by itself. The third thing that I would say is the huge amount of data in existence, which is continuously increasing every day. So AI needs a lot of data in order to work well. Huge amounts of data really is what trains the AI models and algorithms. And today's explosion of big data and the data being collected every day is helping advance AI's deep learning capabilities. 85, just sharing some numbers with you, 85% of enterprises will be using AI by 2020. Every business process in every industry will be transformed by AI. Just as software became the key competitive driver for companies across industries, we feel that the use of AI to go deeper and do more will be critical for enterprises. And the opportunity itself is a 1.2 trillion market opportunity that AI is enabling. So the numbers are pretty massive, and there is the shift that's happening towards that. Now, how does AI help you, right? So how can you use AI to enable your business today? We have three core scenarios, honestly, as Microsoft that our customers are using today to transform their business with AI. First of all, we have conversational or digital agents, right? The second one is we have intelligent apps. Intelligent apps is all about massive shift around developers and enterprises, creating the business apps of the future, built around intelligence and data. We feel, and we strongly feel about the fact that 75% of apps will be infused with AI by the end of 2018. The third one is around really transforming the core business processes with AI. Every business process in every industry will be transformed by AI, just as software became the competitive advantage, as I talked about for industries. I think AI will be the one that moves forward. And that's the part we need to spend a little bit more time on to understand which are the processes that can benefit the most through automation or through AI. I talked about digital agents as being the first one. So by 2025, 95% of customer interactions will take place via AI. Bots are crucial customer engagement tools today to build customer loyalty, to grow customer engagement. Gartner reports 60% of customer inquiries related to app development are about bots, and two major use cases we are finding are around customer service and HR. When I look at some of the examples around how COVID impacted certain industries and how digital agents were used to, let's say, track or let's say to respond, it's amazing. The use cases like in industry or detecting COVID, for example, through usage of bots, has played a very frontline role in that. When we talk about digital agents, I just want to talk about a few good examples. So HP, for instance, a very popular name, had a need to improve customer support and increase agent productivity through the use of digital agents built on the Microsoft platform. 600 million technical support contacts per year was the impact of the solution, and 70% of the support cases were handled by AI. So That's a lot of repetitive work which got taken care of using smart technology and the power of cloud. Now, when we talk about intelligent apps is all about a massive shift around how developers build applications and how enterprises are creating the business applications of the future. Really, two areas I would like to mention over here: infusing AI into every app, making them smarter, intuitive, and customized to provide a better user experience. That's the first one. The second one is around knowledge extraction, which is it's all about opening up new application types through AI, enabling customers to reason over unstructured organizational data and use the power of data to reimagine applications. So that's what we primarily mean by intelligent apps, right? When we talk about AI. And a good example, I would say, of that is Liber. Liber, as many of us might know, is a very big industrial manufacturing equipment provider. They had a customer need. They basically wanted to improve customer sentiment, link issues that they're seeing surface on social media to existing customer information. So again, through the use of intelligent apps and AI, they were able to take that customer sentiment that was coming in through various different channels, monitor those commands, talk to those customers more proactively in solving those issues, and then also integrate the customer preference in the next iteration of the product. So if there's a complaint about a product and it's popular on social media, then listening to that and being able to feed that into your product development cycle is very important. So they were able to do that again through the use of AI. And then the third element really is about transforming your business process. I think that's the most important one. Every business process in every industry will be transformed by AI. Just as a software company became the key competitive advantage for companies across the industries, AI will be the same way. Today, 85% of enterprises, 85% of enterprises will be using AI by 2020. That's what we expect. However, today there are 3 industries that are at the forefront of transformation using AI: financial services, retail, and manufacturing. And I think there are some very common use cases we see in financial services. Some of the scenarios that it's being used is around analyzing risk. It's around building models for fraud prevention, predict what a customer would want to buy next or should be taking next. In retail, businesses are using AI to personalize the shopper's experience. I think we've all been exposed to that as when we shop online. Build dynamic pricing into their models, take environmental information into consideration. So it's we have already kind of seen it play a role in the industries that we've been probably exposed to, and how AI is playing a role. Now within that, a great example is QuarterSpot. QuarterSpot is a small business loans provider. They had a high cost of risk calculation. They needed to optimize the loan concession. So again, with the use of AI, they were able to drive an impact of 85% savings in risk calculation and underwriting costs, lower the loan defaults, and also increase the number of loans they can give. Another great example when we think about reimagining the business process is basically Rolls-Royce, very familiar name. Their need was around the fact that they had a high cost fuel. Cost of fuel, determining when to perform engine maintenance was something that they were kind of, let's say, trying to tackle. Once again, through the use of AI, they were able to drive massive savings across the life of the engine itself and get innovative insights in the aircraft management. And then another example I'd like to call out is us as Microsoft. Our need was revenue forecasting, accuracy for critical business decisions, allocation, performance management. Again, through the use of our own technology, we were able to drive more accurate and automated forecasting and predictions on demand. So it's played a big role even for us and how well we manage our business internally. Now, having talked about AI, I want to get a little bit more deeper without getting into too much detail about what's basically our overall strategy. When we think about it, intelligence is at the core of Microsoft business strategy. First, we lead with the platform always. We are and always will be a platform company. It's not about the technology, but rather what our partners like UiPath and JKIT and customers can do with this technology to enable themselves. So it's always been about the platform. The second thing is our platform is focused on the intelligent cloud and the intelligent edge, and we believe compute will expand to where the data is. And the third thing is that it's all of this will be built on top of AI. First, it was the PC, then it was the web, and AI is the third runtime that every application will use in the future. And when we talk about the Microsoft AI platform, a couple of things I want to talk about is it's around AI services that we offer. It's about the infrastructure and it's also about the tools. So let's start with the AI services. So we provide a very comprehensive set of AI services for any developer or any organization or any scenario. We have pre-built AI services such as cognitive services, conversational services that our customers and developers can use. And we have Azure machine learning services along with that. So for example, UiPath Enterprise RPA integrates very, very deeply into Azure AI, machine learning, and analytics capabilities via cognitive services, allowing customers to use UiPath drag and drop features to apply AI skills directly to automation in very simple steps, right? So that's a great example of how UiPath is using the AI services within the Microsoft platform. And needless to say, all of this is based on a very powerful infrastructure provided by Azure. We are taking all of that power and applying it to AI, from CPU compute to GPU and other areas. And we have, and it's also very interesting for our customers to know that we also have Azure data center footprint within the region. So we've got 2 regions in South Africa already live. We have 2 regions in the UAE. UAE North and UAE South, and more coming up. So it kind of brings the compute to the country itself. So that's great news. And then last but not the least, it is the tools, right? So we have a huge lever because of our tools. We are taking the power of Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code to AI development. And we are very unique in our ability to provide a full solution across, the AI services that let you rapidly develop applications, the infrastructure with the hyperscale cloud, and then the tools that you would use, regardless of which language you use, to build those applications. Just going a little bit, into the AI services. So we've got cognitive services. We talked about Azure machine learning, again, a drag and drop tool that you can use to build machine learning models. And then the AI infrastructure itself, with all the core infrastructure that Microsoft provides, is having the AI capabilities within that. And then the tools that you would be using to build those applications in a very, very rapid way. Lastly, what I want to talk about is that, while we're providing tools, we're also embedding more of AI into everything that we do, and the applications that you use might be Bing, might be Skype, or the Office applications. So AI really is being infused within our portfolio. Thank you very much.
Sorry. No, I think the last bit, there was a quick bit of a bit of a delay, or there's a bit of a kind of a disturbance on your voice, but I think everything else is okay. So without any further ado, I would like to invite Hilal Baroud for your presentation. If you can just share your slide deck, I think we can just start proceeding with that and take it from there. Over to you. Do you have your just share with the slides? I don't see that at the moment. So I think thank you for everyone who has participated. Until we get the slides from Hilal of UiPath on screen, we are seeing a series of questions coming our way. Please continue to send those questions, and we will take those questions as immediately after Hilal's, when we start our panel discussion. Hilal, over to you. Your slides are now live. Hilal, I think you are muted, so you may want to unmute yourself before you start. Yeah. Yep. I think still it shows as you're unmuted and we cannot hear you.
Okay, I'm done. I did it. Thank you very much. Right. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Great.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Ron. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. My name is Hilal Baroud. I'm the Global Services Director at UiPath. And today we're going to talk about the RPA hyper-automation platform to identify, automate, and manage your RPA platform, your RPA project. So This is our platform. We have developed our platform to extend and integrate complementary technologies into the end-to-end automation platform that we previously had. So now you have a platform where you can discover, build, manage, run, and engage, as well as measure your RPA projects within the organization. Every one of these steps has its own features and products, and together they make a solution that will help you have an end-to-end platform that helps you with your life cycle of the whole entire automation. Our major focus was on discovery part. To develop that, identifying the right processes to be automated was a challenge, and we recognized that by listening to our customers and partners. So we have introduced an automation hub platform that I will talk about in a bit, which allows you to crowdsource the automation ideas from your employees, bringing ideas from your employees into your automation center of excellence. We have also introduced process mining and task mining, which I will discover later in this presentation. So when you talk about identifying the right process to automate, we have introduced the Automation Hub, which is a platform, as you can see in front of you, that helps you allowing your employees to contribute to automation ideas by filling in an idea and how complex it is, as you can see on the screen. After it has been submitted, you will have criteria and KPIs that will identify and prioritize these automations, letting you know which automations should be automated first. And then once you have identified the processes, basically normally what you get is a process that needs to be automated. And the first initial thought is that your process looks linear, what we call the happy scenario, the most frequent one. But in reality, your process will basically look like this, with all the exceptions and all the branches and everything that goes into that process. So to do that and to understand your processes better, we have introduced UiPath Process Mining. And with process mining, we have added a scientific database discovery system. What it basically does is it analyzes the actual business data logs generated from your platforms, such as Oracle, SAP, Salesforce, etc., all these systems that your employees work with, to map all your processes and identify the processes that needs to be automated by giving you recommendations, as well as showing you the whole process and the happy scenario, as well as how many times a process or a branch of the process has happened. And what we have also introduced is task capture. So not everything that your employees do go into the enterprise systems that you have. Some steps of that process happen on the desktop of the user by manually doing some kind of tasks that is not logged into these systems, and process mining will not be able to capture that. So what we have introduced is task capture, which is a recording tool that your center of excellence will manage and send a link to a user to allow him to capture a process by executing that process, and will create a PDD document just like a business analyst would do. The beauty of this is that it will create an end-to-end process of what has been recorded with all the print screens and the details, including the selectors of these activities that are happening in that process. But what you can also do is you can extract that into a file that you can later import into UiPath Studio. UiPath Studio is where the developer develops that process before putting it into testing. So that will significantly reduce your development cycle by introducing task capture. And then how do you automate? What we have introduced is multiple types of UiPath Studios for the RPA developers, which is the advanced one, where you can do almost all the automation tasks there. But we have also introduced Studio X, which is for the citizen developers and allows a business user to basically do automations with Excel and Outlook and just some web scraping, stuff like that, making it a wizard base for everyone within your organization to be able to develop processes. Now this is how the studio looks like. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it. It has drag and drop, very low code required, mostly workflow system within the development. So what we also have is that you can have the deployment of UiPath into the cloud using Azure. The beauty of it is that with one click of a button, you can set up the whole platform within Azure. We have partnership integration with Microsoft, allowing this kind of integration that helps you significantly. Now, the next part is managing. So we have discussed the identifying, we have discussed building, and now managing these robots. So what we have is the UiPath Orchestrator. This is the centralized platform where you can log in and see all your processes and all the robots. You can see statistics, see the logs, have your dashboards, your reports, put in your variables. You can integrate Orchestrator with all kinds of platforms. We have connectors and open API. So our platform is an open platform. It is not open source, but it has APIs open to connect with other platforms. Here you also have a mobile app for the UiPath Orchestrator to manage your robots when you're on the run. This is where you will manage everything of your digital workforce. And what we just recently introduced is UiPath Insights. This is where you will be able to measure your KPIs, your ROIs, to see what robots are doing and how much it has saved you. You can set up widgets and put up dashboards. It's basically a business user form of statistics, letting you know exactly what's going on in your digital workforce, to take decisions and decides what's next and understand what is going on. So that is it from my part, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Hilal. I mean, it's fantastic. I'm just being a little sensitive about the fact that we have taken a bit more than we planned time, because I know that the content is quite rich and there's a lot of areas that we would like to cover. But I think we have a gentleman who is been in the thick of things for a while, who is joined us. We have Chamat, who is our automation architect for Middle East region, joining us. And I would like to kick off the quick Q&A and the panel discussion with aimed at you, open in the first question. So how I would like to structure it is, would it be possible for me to first of all ask you to give you a quick, maybe couple of minutes, quick overview of what you think about this automation journey that organizations are going on, but more importantly, can you just tell us, with your experience, having worked with customers in really deploying these technologies in different industries and different situations? Chamat, I think your live feed is kind of a little bit unstable. Let me just come back to you maybe after that kind of gets stabilizes, because I feel that your let's say, screen is now frozen. So maybe I'll come to you, Hamad. I mean, there were a couple of interesting questions that have been come to you, but let me come to you as for the first question. One of the very interesting things that I've been constantly hearing about, obviously Azure is one of those really big bets and big kind of technology area that Microsoft have been pursuing for the last couple of years. And UiPath, and more importantly, Azure is speaking about something called a RPA ready infrastructure, and also being the platform of choice, hosting these services for businesses. Can you just elaborate a little bit more on this particular point and tell us what does it really mean, and how is Azure and RPA as a being the preferred platform really means for businesses and the people who are listening to us?
Thank you. I'll answer that, and Rohan, I would love also to Hilal to comment. But many of our customers use UiPath to automate a broad range of repetitive processes, right? Using our technologies, be it Excel, Word, Microsoft applications to create efficiency, remove redundancy, etc. What we are now increasingly seeing is our customers and partners deploy UiPath in the Microsoft Azure cloud. A key customer benefit is the ability to significantly scale the number of software robots based on the elastic nature of the Azure cloud infrastructure. And I think Delaney also talked about it, or throw more compute at specific robots as appropriate, reducing DevOps and data center infrastructure costs for customers. What's also worth mentioning is that while UiPath has always been able to run in Azure, the new auto deploy feature allows our customers to quickly deploy scale automation initiatives. By quickly, we mean a few minutes rather than hours for a small implementation, just a few days for large installations. So it's a real game changer for customers who are invested both in the Microsoft Azure technology and UiPath.
Great to hear, Ahmed. So let me come to you, Hilal. I mean, I have a question that is I wanted to kind of ask you on this. Obviously we came down from a very unprecedented, I know this word is quite used these days, unprecedented scenarios, COVID-19 pandemic, and I feel personally that automation came out as a real true winner of this. So can you tell us a little bit about why businesses really need to think about this automation and use of RPA with using UiPath to really accelerate the transformation journey that they have to take as a result of this COVID-19 situation?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Rohan. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Would you also like
to
add maybe something to what Ahmed said and then connect to my question?
Yes, absolutely. So the partnership that we have with Microsoft is phenomenal. It has helped us do quick deployments. This 2 minutes deployment that Ahmed has been talking about has been a great leap into easing up the setting up of the architecture and making sure that our software is working on the Azure platform and the cloud. So that has been a big compliment to our software as well. And to come back to your question on the COVID and how it has been accelerating, well, pre-COVID, UiPath was already one of the extremely successful in growth companies. We have been one of the fastest growing enterprise softwares. And now during the COVID pandemic, what we are seeing is that the world has suddenly woke up to something called automation. And so that is incredibly fortunate for us, but we had to adapt to this new reality. So, for example, I lead the pre-sales team in Middle East Africa, and we had to fundamentally change and adapt the mentality, the skill set, because what we used to do in the last 2 years is convincing our customers of RPA and making sure we convince them and they understand that it works for them. And now the whole concept has changed, where our engagement as pre-sales with our prospects is more around discussing their whole enterprise-wide automation plans and helping them achieve that. So it is a total different thing. There is no more, shall we try 3 bots here, or can you do a proof of concept for us there? Those discussions are not happening anymore. So yes, it has accelerated automation significantly, and we are very fortunate with this change. But again, new challenges has arisen, which we have adapted to. I mean, UiPath has been rapidly growing, and we have to constantly changing. So yeah, absolutely. But we are fortunate enough.
Hilal, there's a question from the audience. I'll just take that because I think it really nicely connects with what you just said. The question is that how do you set and define short-term and long-term plan approach for a RPA platform rollout across the organization? And I also realize that we have Chamath back online, so I will come to you, Chamath, immediately. Hilal, would you like to take a stab on this?
Yes, absolutely. So for the short term, I would say to our customers and our prospects to involve our partners, like you guys. John Keells is a strategic partner, and a short term, a partner will be there to consult and help identify and help start up the journey as well as setting up the infrastructure and the center of excellence to get things going. And for the long term, then these customers can start thinking of having in-house expertise to continue this RPA journey. So two different things. I think it will be difficult to start directly alone, and we have expertise like you guys that can help them start up this journey and handhold them into their RPA journey for the long term.
Right, really appreciate that, Hilal. Thank you so much. I think let me come to you to ask few questions. Ahmed, I think there was an interesting question based on your presentation that was asked. Maybe we'll just answer that because we are right. Okay, and maybe come back to Chamat, because Chamat, I thought I lost you again, so I kind of paused for a moment. The very interesting question that was asked was, there was a statement which said about 85% of the enterprises, will be using AI by 2020. Are these actual figures or was an estimation? If it was an estimation, how do you think the potential will be for AI post-COVID for industries? Would you like to take that question?
Yeah, great question. So that's an estimation, and I would say COVID rapidly accelerated that number, and we saw it very clearly. And this goes back to Hilal's point, which is all of a sudden, because there was a restriction on people being able to move the business forward, there was a need to get processes and RPA in place. So when I look at use cases like insurance, for example, all of a sudden, for claims, right, and being able to process them using AI became really important. So simple answer is that yes, absolutely, COVID accelerated everything because there was a need to automate processes which previously required people.
Right. Great. Thank you, Ahmed. Let me now come back to Chamat. I think, Chamat, I'm just going to put you and come to you. Finally, I think we have a stable link now. You probably have to unmute yourself there, maybe just before you come to me. That's great. Chamat, can you hear us? Are you there? Oh, Chamat, I'm really sorry, but I think the voice is not coming through. We are hearing a bit of a jerkiness on the sound as if a mic is just getting this thing. So let me come back to you and I'll come to you. Dilini, you have been there, and I think I just wanted to ask a few questions from you before I actually come back and ask some questions. So we talk about this. With all due respect, I think Microsoft being a very important principle for us, UiPath being a very important principle for us, but ultimately as a partner, we actually have to now roll out these deployments with the help of people like Microsoft and UiPath. And you have gone through this cycle with many customers across industries, whether it be banking, financial, telco, manufacturing, etc. What are your key lessons that you learned from this? What are the reasons why you think some of these projects actually fail right now as a result of it? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Thanks, Rohan. To answer your question, yes, there had been lots of projects that we have undertaken where we had used Azure services and used Azure for hosting. Then there has also been on some others which are on premise. So to tell you the advantages that we have seen in going with Azure is that we have been able to scale the bots as and when it was required to scale, right? And also the ability to get the other cognitive services implemented because it is on the same platform, right? So there have been so many instances where the clients have been open and they have chosen Azure, and then we have been able to implement likewise. Right, so basically, having that on Azure, we have not seen any issues as such. Right, to answer your question, whether we have failed, no, we have not. So far, we have been able to be successful in the implementations that we have taken, where we have brought these two platforms together and implemented them.
Excellent. But have you seen any challenges from customer side where the reason why there is a hesitation to move forward with RPA? Is there anything specific you have seen?
RPA, there has been in certain instances where they did not understand the value of RPA, where they saw
Right.
it as like where it is where people are getting inundated sort of thing. So that is not so. We had to really put it across to them. No, it's not. We are using robots to do repetitive tasks while we repurpose the stuff for client engaging, right, creative work.
That's
right?
really add value to
Taking
the
that,
business,
yes.
right?
So that's how we have managed to manage the situation.
Great, great. Chamath, I'm not sure whether you can hear us. I know I can hear the visual. I apologize. I think the audio is still not coming through. So using that as a cue, let me come back to you, Hamad, and then maybe I have a question for you. I think, one of the very interesting things we are constantly hearing is about this Azure cognitive services, right? And I know it's even newer than Azure is per se, so to speak. My question to you is that, how does this Azure Cognitive Services help us to provide various end-to-end integration capabilities with UiPath RPA solution, part of it? And then the second part of it is that how does these integrations, such as I'm talking about, especially language processing, image processing, vision, Microsoft Vision, Azure Vision, all of that. So how does this happen from Microsoft side?
So great. So excellent question, and I would love to get Hilal also to contribute to answering it. But when it comes to cognitive services and UiPath, it's much more than just infrastructure from which our customers will benefit. So artificial intelligence is the hot buzzword, and when aligned with UiPath, makes for a very, very strong proposition. So UiPath has invested in native integration with a number of Azure cognitive services as part of the customer journey to intelligent automation. And it's kind of just the start of the ongoing investments they are making in AI, in machine learning, both in the short term and the long term. I think one good example could be something like the ink recognition service, where being able to use inking to capture digital signatures as an example. So I think it's very, very aligned. I would love to get a little bit of feedback from Hilal also on that.
Absolutely, that is right, Ahmed. Thank you very much. So we have used Azure Cognitive Intelligence services in many of the projects, and we see customers using them more and more. We also have developers within UiPath that are dedicated into supporting these services and making them integrate better with our platform. For example, we have insurance claims using the intelligent picture detection and identifying the damage on cars, and then RPA robot takes that and starts calculating the claim cost. We also use the facial recognition on your platform from Microsoft Azure services to identify whether a user is wearing a mask or not. For the COVID now. So all these services are contributing and making our robots more intelligent in learning these skills, because they integrate into it and it adds an intelligent skill to the robot, allowing the robot to do automations that otherwise were not possible. And we will keep seeing these moving forward, where the robots will keep learning more skills and integrating with all these new AI technologies. And our partners and customers will continue to develop and use automations in areas where even us as UiPath could not have imagined or thought of.
Excellent. So I think, Hila, now that you are, let me just continue to add on to the question for the answer that you gave. Obviously from your previous statement, previous answer, it was quite obvious that, under these current circumstances, automation is something that customers are seriously looking at, and it's something that people are, embracing and adopting, which creates a great opportunity for all of us, so Microsoft as a and UiPath and us, Keells IT, as a partner. Let me ask you this question. You have been announcing some series of very innovative kind of a range of products. Over the next 2 to 3 years, where do you really see UiPath's role evolving in this automation space, and where do you think that will really, will that translate to customers in different regions?
Well, for the next 2 or 3 years, what we know for certain is that AI and automation will have a huge impact on the economy of the future, and it will change the way we do work. If you just look at 2 or 3 years ago, UiPath was a basic tool that automates low-hanging fruits by automating clicks and keystrokes using computer vision. But today, automation has advanced to a significant level where the robot can do analysis and take decisions and understand what it is dealing with and do things that were not possible before. So in 2 to 3 years, it's very difficult for me to predict, but as UiPath is one of the leaders in this space, what we have set up is a platform that allows the robots to integrate with any new kind of technology that is coming up using our open platform, allowing it to contribute and learn into making changes into everything around us. So I really cannot tell you exactly what I predict will happen in 2 to 3 years, but I'm sure UiPath will play a role in that, making our world automatable, more better for humankind, removing all these repetitive, mundane, boring tasks, and allowing the human to do the more creative parts of the day-to-day job.
So Hilal, last question before I move to the Dilini for a question. There's a question from an audience. They say, does UiPath bots store any information or retain them in any way, either on-prem or on the cloud?
Absolutely not. So what we do is we only store logs, and it is stored within your database in the cloud or in a private cloud or on-prem. But the data that the robot works with, at the end of the day, at UiPath, we don't store anything. So you decide how the workflow goes and what the robot does and how it deals with the data. But it's all within your prem, on your systems, behind your firewall, with your security governance and your IT governance. And if the process requires to store data, then that is part of the process. But for the process itself, within our orchestrator and within our platform, there is no data to be stored except the logs, so that you can have and retrace and have the governance needed to understand what these robots are doing and manage it properly. But it's all in your hands, and you have also different level of logs. You have very high level to all detailed level. So it's all in your hands, and UiPath doesn't store any data, absolutely not.
So I wanted to just answer that because these are very sensitive times and we are hearing a lot of stories. So I think it's important to be able to clarify that. I'm glad that you clarified it. Chamat, I know you are here. Can you hear us? Yeah? No, I think for some reason your voice have... Okay. Wow, there's a bit of a...
Can you hear me better?
Now you are loud and clear. I think it must have been the headphones that you were trying to use. Chamat, finally, I think, first of all, for everyone who's listening, there's close to a significant audience online at the moment. And thank you for staying with us. I think now that we have crossed the 1 hour mark as well, we are in the tail end of the webinar. So Chamat, thank you for joining us. As I mentioned, Chamat is our automation architect for Middle East region, and he's one of those guys who face customers day in and day out doing this stuff and really make customers successful for us. So Chamat, my question to you is about, with your experience in actively working with customers to deploy these solutions, what are the biggest kind of challenges technically you have come across that prevents customers from succeeding in these implementations?
So now it has been about 5 years in my journey with RPA and UiPath, working with customers. And it has been quite interesting working in this region as well. So if I go back 5 years, there were many technical challenges as well as the challenge of, I would say, the main problem that persists, it's the resistance to change and the culture shock that many people have, the idea that the robots are here to replace humans. And as Hilal also mentioned, it's there to augment the human's capabilities. So just to give a small anecdote on I was working a few years back with a manufacturing large conglomerate, and in the initial stages, about in the first year, we were only able to automate about 8 to 9 processes due to the business not coming through with use cases, as well as not giving the full details, as they were under the impression that they could lose their jobs. But going into the second year in that project, we were able to pass the 50 plus automation mark, where we had the same users who were reluctant at first, giving us much more opportunities to automate. So I think that would be one of the key problems that I have seen.
Great, Chama. Thanks a lot. I do, Paul. I mean, I really regret the fact that we just managed to get you. It would have been nice, but I want to throw one question. Yeah, so I'll come back to, maybe we need to have a question, but since we are in the last couple of stages, Dilini, let me come back to you for a quick, maybe a question and maybe a few clarifications from you in terms of innovations around RPA and automation. Can you name one or two, like something that is really interesting we have been able to deliver as John Keells IT?
Yes, Rohan. In terms of when we used Abby Flexi Capture, like in automation, and the ability for ML in the tool that was given, so like it learns by itself and it enables you to give a better output the next time over. So that is one of the things that we saw because of the high accuracy that we had when we implemented with the use case that I shared with you in terms of credit flow. And so that is one of the things, and also like in terms of we have integrated with cognitive services, with AI and all that, which helps clients to gain the benefits of the same. Yeah. So those are the innovations that we've gone through.
Excellent. So I think we are at the, as I mentioned to the last bit, there's some interesting questions in the from the audience. So some of these questions, I'm so sorry, we probably have run out of time and I may not be able to take. But let me come to you, Ahmed. I would like to have one question. I would like to have one question asked from you, and then I would like to have a bit of a closing remark also, and then I will do a round. Chamat, I'll have a question for you before we conclude for sure. So I think, Ahmed, one of the things that we're talking about is always, I think to any business, the challenge is about staying relevant in the current day and age, using technology or whatever. Now, for us, it's technology. For Microsoft, how do you see over the next 2 to 3 years this journey, and how do you think Microsoft we're going to embrace automation? Is the question I'm going to ask you. Then I will also like to have your closing remarks, and then probably I can move to the next panelist.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Rohan. So I think intelligent automation is for all of us, right? So our potential is limitless, but our time is not. So it's becoming increasingly important to drive automation. So what I can say from our side is intelligence is at the core of our strategy, and something that I have even mentioned when I was going through my slides, which is we lead with the platform always. We are and always will be a platform company, and it's not about the technology, but rather what our partners and customers can do with this technology to enable themselves. So I think that's something we'll stay very true to the fact that it's our platform is also focused on intelligent cloud and intelligent edge. And at the end of it, I will just kind of close with saying that we excel as humans at creative and strategic thinking, but spend too much of our time performing, let's say, routine tasks. There's already a lot of data that can be used to automate, and we know automation delivers results and the advantages that it drives for economies. So so I think we'll continue to push in that same direction as we go forward.
Thanks, Ahmed. Fantastic. I wish we had more time. There's a lot more to get. And Hilal, same to you. I'm coming to you with one question and also for your closing remarks. For an organization starting anew, right? As far as UiPath is concerned, what are the key advices you will give starting this journey with a company like UiPath and including a partner like John Keells IT? And I would also like to hear your closing remarks on this.
Yes, thank you, Ron. So to start the journey, you really need an expert besides you. If it is new for you, you haven't done it before, the companies, I would request them to get in contact with partners like John Keells to identify the proper processes that needs to be automated. Like Delaney just mentioned, RPA is not always contributing or being understood properly. Sometimes it is because it is not the right process that is being automated, or it is being automated not in the proper way with the proper business impact. So that consulting part is something very important to start with. Select the right process, have some experts working on it, see the benefits of it, and then you can expand with your internal team contributing to those processes and automating more. But the initial start should always be with an expert, unless you really start investing in your own people and have the expertise to kick off the project internally without the help of a partner.
Excellent.
And as closing remarks, I would like to thank everybody. It was great. If you have any questions, reach out to our partners. We have, so currently, because of this booming now in automation, we are working much more with our partners, working closely, making sure the automations that they are deploying at customers are being successful by doing quality assurance, by supporting them. So basically, the point of contact for these automations is through our ecosystem of partners.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that. Chamath, I'm going to come to you as next. I have a question. I just wanted to make sure that I can hear you. All right, lovely. Yeah, so I have one question, and maybe I'll also ask for your closing remarks. The first question is that, I mean, this question was supposed to come to you a bit earlier. During the time we spoke, we touched on the Azure Cognitive Services. One of the things is about, I would like to take your, as a partner, as a person who's a practitioner on the ground, what are your thought process about the Microsoft Azure Cognitive Services? How does that play into this domain that we are speaking about today? And I would also like to ask for your closing remarks as well after that.
Sure thing. So to start off with, what I have experienced is, in the beginning, of course, we had to figure out the common, like good commonality among different vendors. So for us, it was very easy because both our partners go hand in hand with each other. And we have done automations using UiPath with Azure Cognitive Services. And I see that there will be a big boom, as the others also mentioned, due to COVID-19. And it is very easy to implement solutions. UiPath also comes with a lot of support. And over the last 5 years, we have seen them growing as a platform, bringing in the client's side of things onto the picture as well. So it has been really easy to work with the two partners that we have been, and that's what I would like to point on the scenarios.
So what are your closing remarks, Chamath?
Yeah, so as a closing remark, what I would like to say is I believe that RPA is somewhat would be defining the future for us, especially in terms of in a global scale with COVID and businesses looking to scale up drastically by reducing costs. So therefore, both our partners are good supplements to that, and for businesses to bring down the costs as well as scale up rapidly. So I believe we have been working with them, and we continue to work with them, and I would like to thank them for coming and speaking to us.
Thanks, Chamath. I really appreciate the work you're doing. Delaney, for your closing remarks before we wrap up the session for today.
Yes, thank you very much, everybody who joined the webinar, especially Hilal and Hamad and Chamath, who was part of the panel. So my closing remarks are that, I mean, automation is being embraced by so many companies around the world, and it has now become the new normal. and also that the benefits of it is great once you embark on that journey. Because what we have seen is the first one is the difficult one to implement, but once it takes and it catches on like fire. So that so I would suggest that to look at it very seriously, because it is part of digital transformation and which will help you to benefit to get a benefit on efficiency and productivity. So that's my closing remarks. Thank you.
Right, excellent. So I would like to take a moment and say thanks to my very distinguished and experienced panelists. You have spent more than 1 hour, 15 minutes with us. And I'm really, really grateful and very appreciative of that because I know that time is the only thing that we actually really focus on preserving the most. I hope this webinar was meaningful to you, useful to you. You can reach out to us and contact us if you have any questions. Some of the questions that you asked, we weren't unable to answer. So reach out to us on any of our social media platforms or any other mechanism that is possible. We do have our presence in the region, and we are very committed to the region and building your automation journey and your RPA journey. Thank you very much. And with that remark, I would like to close the webinar for today. Wish you all the very best. Stay safe as always, and good luck.